this video, we have my Redcat RDS, and since I have now done all of the front upgrades to this car, it has the upgraded Redcat upper control arms, lower control arms, turnbuckles, and the metal servo horn down here. So now we're going to take a look at what alternate alignment we can use on this car now that we have this parts that give us a little bit more freedom for alignment changes than what was there from the factory. What I'm going to be specifically looking at is how do I reduce some of that toe out. It's exaggerated because of the fisheye lens in this camera, so please be wary of that. But take a little bit of the toe out in mid-angle drift. See if I can't parallel up the Ackerman just a little bit, but still keep a little bit of a decent open Ackerman at full angle. I'm going to look at taking the toe out, probably adding a little bit of camber in, and then relying on caster to get my leading tire back to flat at drift angle. Two things we got to do before we get started. We're going to take some measurements on all of the turnbuckles and everything, spacers, everything, so that we know how it's set up and we can put it back in case we screw it up. And then we're going to drive it a little bit just to make sure that we get kind of a good baseline of how it drives now, so that once I screw it up, we can know if it's actually better or worse. In order to do this, set of calipers, I can leave a link to them down in the video description. Super helpful for you to have a set of calipers. I also online on the Redcat website under downloads, they actually have setup sheets. I'm only focusing on this front section because we're not dealing with the rear of the car at all today. We're just dealing with the front. And so I was able to put in everything that I have as of right now. If any of you are curious, 0 on the toe blocks all around. Upper link 15 millimeters, 2 millimeter spacers top and bottom on the hub. That's the ones that came with that aftermarket hub. 0 spacers here or here. Bottom link length between there 7.5 millimeters. 0 toe on the bottom as well. Steering link length 25.5. Servo horn was in notch number 3. I have 0 spacers on the front, 6 millimeter spacers on the rear, and of course this length is the same as that length, so they actually have it twice here. This car really drives so beautifully and so simply. I may be screwing up by changing the alignment here. We'll see, but it was good to have that baseline just to know, like, gosh, it drives so well. First thing I've done is move this upper spacer from the rear to the front. So now all my spacers are in the front on the upper control arm, and are in the back in the lower control arm. That gives me as much caster as it can get in this configuration. One of the things that does is that changes how much camber we gain. So how much the tire is tilted in here, and then as we come over, how much it gains and goes out through that whole range. I have now reduced this upper turnbuckle length by 1 millimeter, and I moved the servo horn back from number 3's position to number 4 position. And what I'm seeing is I'm a little bit, still not as straight as I want it to be from a toe standpoint, got a little bit more camber, but what I'm looking at is I flattened this leading edge way too early. It's somewhere right at about this angle where that leading edge flattens, and honestly, wherever that flattens is kind of where the car wants to drift at. So I want to get it out just a little bit more, and it's not bad here. You got to make sure you kind of hold your chassis at ride height too as you do this. It's not bad here, but what it means is I still need to shorten these up just a little bit more, and that's going to continue to bring that upper tire in some. As it does that, because the steering linkage is fixed, as it brings that up, it actually also decreases the amount of toe. Now what I've done is taken advantage of these new knuckles and actually moved that mounting location for this upper turnbuckle from the rear position to the front. That wasn't there on the plastic turnbuckles that came with the car, so now that's something that we can change. I've also moved the steering servo horn back to, I think it's position number 5 now. Done a couple changes like that. So what's important now is we need to drive it and see how it does. Clear, I don't expect that I'm done yet, but it is important if you can, while you're doing this, to kind of test it along the way. Maybe you can find something out. It may surprise you. I noticed driving that there that as it becomes more and more parallel to Ackerman, the more it wants to kind of hang the car in the drift. It wants to stay there in that angle. It doesn't want to necessarily maybe straighten up as quick coming out of the corner. Might be okay. It's only a small difference, and so I was able to just tweak a little bit how I was driving with the throttle and the steering. It seems like it was just fine. Let's keep screwing this up and see if we can make it any better. Continuing to tweak on it a little bit here, and I think we might have finally gotten it where we want it to be. Changed a couple more lengths, couple more positions, and now it looks like that tire's flat right about there. This tire has a good amount of camber leaned into it. It's just ever so slightly open on the Ackerman. Pretty close to parallel, but really slight open. Got a lot of the toe dialed out of the front, a little bit of camber in, toe out. Just reduced how much toe was in there. I think we're getting somewhere. Let's give this a shot. So now here we are. If you have a Redcat RDS and you have all this and you want to mimic my alignment or change some of yours to be closer to it, then we have 2 spacers in the front, 0 spacers in the rear. On the steering hub here, we are in the farthest back location. Zeros all around top and bottom on the toe plates. 14 millimeters length up here on the top. The 2 millimeter spacers top and bottom that came with the new upgraded hubs. 0 spacers here on each side. 7.5 millimeters length still on the bottom here. Steering link 26.2. Servo horns at notch 6. 0 spacers in front of the bottom control arm, 6 spacers at the rear. You can now mimic my alignment and you can kind of get an idea of what this possible changes are once you put all these upgrade parts on. I hope this video was useful for you. If you have any questions about what I did, leave them down in the video comments. I'll also have a Redcat affiliate link to these parts in the video description. If you click that link and you buy these parts, I get a little bit of a kickback to help me fund this channel. You pay the same price, which is really a pretty sweet deal at the end of the day. If you want to see anything else that I've done with this Redcat RDS, there is a playlist that'll be popping up over here to your right. I hope to see you in one of those videos. Thank you and goodbye.